Oh, that's so great to hear. And your daughter's Paige?
Yeah, this is Paige, and she's 11.
Hi, Paige.
And she was like 4 when Wyatt started getting sick.
Okay.
And you were 9 when he passed away.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Okay. It looks like we are live.
Yay.
Hey, everybody. I'm going to jump back to this other screen because there's a delay on that one. It's good to be with you. For those of you tuning in, we're going to give this a second. I'm Nate Eaton with EastIdahoNews.com, and I'm so excited for this discussion we're going to have tonight. You've heard me talk about this book over the past few weeks, 10,000 Tries, written by Amy Makechnie. Full disclosure, she is my cousin. And I make no money off of this, off of promoting this in any way. I just want you to have something good to read this summer, this winter, whenever you watch this on Facebook land. And so tonight we're going to be discussing this book. Amy joins me live from her home in New Hampshire. We also have Mindy, Rees, and her daughter, Paige. Paige, you're 11, right? So is that 6th grade, going into 6th grade?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So they're joining us from their home in Yukon. If you're watching in Idaho, of course, Yukon is about 10, 15 minutes from Idaho Falls. And they, this story kind of resonates with them as Mindy's husband, Wyatt, passed away from ALS back in 2019. And that's kind of what this book is about. So if you're tuning in, we hope you'll stay with us. We have some giveaways. I want to talk about that at the beginning. What we're going to do is everyone that comments below during this discussion, when this is all over, I'll go through and pick some of you at random. We have a $25 Barnes & Noble gift card, so you can use that anywhere in the country or online. We're giving away a copy of this book and Amy's first book, Amy,
Ooh.
The Unforgettable Guinevere St. Clair, written when?
Awesome.
2019?
2018.
2018. So we're going to give away 2 books, and we also have some gift cards to Applebee's and Cold Stone Ice Cream. So comment below, let us know where you're watching from, and we'll get going. Looks like we have 62 people watching, not bad so far. So thank you for those of you who tuned in. Also, if you won a book a few weeks ago, we did a book giveaway. I think we gave away 25 or 30 books. I hope you're tuning in, and we want to hear your insights. The best way to do that is just type in a comment down below. We would bring you all in on video, but that can make for a lot of technical nightmares. So just comment in the comments below, and we'll go through your comments as we go throughout the evening. So now that we got that out of the way, first things first, Amy, for those people that have no idea what I'm talking about, what this book is, what is the basic premise of 10,000 Tries?
So this tells the story of Golden Maroni. And I say macaroni because if you're in middle school with the name of Golden, his friends have a lot of fun with that name. They sometimes call him Golden Macaroni or Goldfish or Goldilocks. So I love the name, but that was a fun name to use in middle school as well. But it follows his story of being obsessed with the soccer player, legendary player, Lionel Messi, who was also a very small player, and Golden idolizes him. And he needs to survive middle school. He wants to take his team to the soccer championships and prevent his best friend, Lucy Littlehouse, who lives next door, from moving away. And if he thinks that if he can do that, then he can prevent his dad from losing to the 3 worst letters in the alphabet, ALS. And he's kind of got this, all of his life, he's been told, you know, with enough effort, with enough practice, you can get through anything, you can overcome anything. So that's kind of his mentality. And he even has a chart on his wall where he keeps track of like soccer touches and soccer hours, so he can become like Messi too. And it's kind of a story about what you can control, what you can't control, and when the time is to accept what you can't control. And that it's kind of a coming of age story, but the arc of this boy who's struggling with a dad who is not going to overcome a fatal disease. It's hopefully funny. It might make you cry, but obviously I hope you love it.
It might. I think it will. I haven't talked to anybody.
It does.
Yeah,
It's hilarious. It makes you cry.
Yeah. It is a book that once you start, my wife read it in one sitting on a drive from Idaho Falls to Salt Lake. Just couldn't put it down. I read it, I think, in 2 days just because I'm a slower reader. But it's a very easy read. But Amy, the target audience isn't necessarily for adults.
Right. It's technically middle grade, which targets 8 to 12-year-olds. I do love to hear when an adult will say, I love that book, because I really believe that good literature spans, all ages. So I love to hear that from adults to grandparents to kids. I just love to hear that.
How did you come up with the story? Do you have a friend who had ALS? I know you're big into soccer. Your kids are into soccer, so I could see that theme throughout the book. But where did the rest of the storyline come from?
So yeah, I've been coaching middle school co-ed 7th and 8th grade soccer for a long time, and my son was on the middle school team, and he was small and he was obsessed with Messi. And it's interesting to watch middle school boys because they all want to be bigger, stronger, faster. That's just so important to them. At the same time, one of his very best friends' father had just been diagnosed with ALS. So I'm watching these two, like, this juxtaposition of bigger, stronger, faster, and a man who's big and strong and fast starting to lose all of that. And it just really made me think of what makes a man a man, and what really matters, and how do you be a father, how do you coach your kid through that scenario. And he was a great friend of mine. His name's Eric Johnson, and his wife was one of my last readers, just to make sure that I got the ALS details right. I wanted to be really sensitive to that and write it as authentically as possible. And their family was incredible about opening their arms to the community and letting us love Eric at every stage.
So when you write a book about ALS that the ending is likely not going to be happy unless you leave it on a cliffhanger, and we won't give away the ending, but everyone kind of knows the ending. I mean, did you have to kind of keep that in mind, knowing that this was going to be a sad-ish book?
I remember my daughter coming upstairs after reading it, and she was just furious with me. And I kind of knew how it was going to end, but I didn't want to go through all of that. So that's why it's kind of like an epilogue, because I didn't think we needed all of it. So it kind of ends with, I don't want to give it away either, but it kind of ends with the team scenario. But just no matter what, the people you love doesn't go away. And that's what I wanted the reader to be left with.
So you've got this kid, Golden, for those who haven't read it, who loves soccer, loves his dad. His dad's an athlete too, gets diagnosed with ALS. And he's coping with this along with his best friend next door, one of his best friends who's moving away. And perhaps the most touching part of the book to me is demonstrated here on the cover art. And it's this is Golden with his dad and his friend here, and then this neighbor girl in front of them. And they're on their way. It was a lake, right? Down to the lake that they went to every summer. Yeah. And I want to read part of it, if that's okay. Starting on 152. And Amy, correct me if I get anything wrong. From what I recall, the kids would always go down to the lake. It was like a summer tradition, and the father would go with them.
I don't think I necessarily said it was kind of a kid thing.
Okay, it was a kid thing, but on this particular night, the kids want to go down to the lake, and Dad is going to come with them, or they invite him to come along, I guess. And so
it's Golden's birthday, and he's kind of mad at his dad. He wants his dad to get on the bike and pedal the bike, but his dad can't.
Okay, great. Thank you for setting it up. So what happens? What happens, Amy?
So they get dad. So it takes the three friends to get dad on the bike, and they have to put his feet on the pedals, and he can't pedal, but Golden's in front, dad's in the back, and they get up and down the hill and they coast. And
Okay.
yeah,
Thank you. I found the spot. I had a
okay.
few pages. It's
Okay.
actually page 145. It's a monumental effort to even get dad on the seat. First, we have to lean the bike against the wall. Next, Lucy, the friend next door, and I have to hold dad and lift his right foot over the bike without him falling over. Lucy swallows hard. I want to tell her I know exactly how she feels. Dad feels her hesitation too. I'm okay, Lucy, he says. Just can't make his voice trails off as he tries to get on the seat. I got you, she says, stepping forward and holding us steady. She helps dad put his arms around my waist. His clawed left hand grasps his right one and he clenches as tight as he can. Okay, he says uneasily. Text Benny, their other friend, I asked Lucy. There's no way he won't go if dad's with me. Lucy texts, then grabs her roller skates. I start to pedal down the long driveway. Dad is heavy weight on my bike and we wobble precariously. Fear grips me knowing I can't stop or dad will fall off. So of course I'm like, oh no, I hope they don't crash. My calves strain against the pedals as I lean forward and push harder, feeling my quads burn with exertion that feels good and terrible. My hands grip the yellow handles. You can do it, Dad says, arms around me, both of us praying they'll stay there. His voice helps me pedal harder until I'm at the end of the driveway, the orange glare of the sunset still bright enough to light the way down. I pray that no cars are coming because once I start, I won't be able to stop. Hold on, Dad. And then it goes on to explain as the son is biking his dad down to the lake, his dad who can't move his muscles and is hanging on for dear life. And it's a scene that she's beautiful. You can picture the movie in your mind. So, I mean, Amy, was that chapter as particularly moving for you as it was for me and other people I've talked to?
Yeah, I mean, that was one of those scenes. Like I joke with my editor that it took 10,000 tries to get this book right. And I wanted to write these poignant scenes without being over the top sentimental, or you want to get the emotion right and trying to say it without spelling it out. But it's interesting that the publisher pulled what they do is they pull a couple scenes from the book that they like, and then they tell the illustrator. And so she comes up with this. And I love how it's Abigail De La Cruz. And I love, the light, dad's looking up into the light. And then they included on the back of the book. So it's a whole big thing. They have to get dad home. And it was even harder to get dad home. And he's got mosquito bites and he's bit, and mom's going to be mad at him because his dad can't even bring his hand up to swat the mosquitoes. But it says he finds his dad who's getting a shower that night, just being sprayed down by mom. And she says, "Did you actually ride a bike?" Mom asks. "No," he says, triumphant, water splashing out of his mouth. "I was flying." And no matter how mad mom is, I'm suddenly triumphant too, that I could make him feel that way. Like we really can do anything together, even if it takes 10,000 tries.
Such a good part of the book. All right, so let's bring in Mindy now. She's watching here, joining us with Paige. Mindy, a lot of people in East Idaho might be familiar with your story, but we have people watching from California, Kansas. If I'm looking down, it's because I'm looking at another screen. Tennessee, Saratoga Springs, Rexburg, Bakersfield, California, Omaha, Nebraska. We have a lot of people watching. Hillsboro, Ohio. We're so glad you all are tuning in. As for those people not familiar with your story, give us a brief synopsis.
So my husband, we were married for 13 years, but he battled ALS for 5.5. We had the wrong diagnosis for 3 years. So, but overall it was a 5.5 year battle. And interesting reading this book. Obviously the most influential part in my life that I can relate to in this book is when they come home from the doctor's office and they're telling their kids, about his diagnosis because it sounded exactly like verbatim for what ours was. You think it's something, you're taking them, you're weeding out the process, but you're getting that diagnosis that you don't want. And I remember my kids were all really, really young. So even if I were to come out and say, this is ALS, this is terminal, at that time, they wouldn't have comprehended and really understood it. But I still took the same perspective as in this book. And what I love was, and what I think a lot of people do, even when you get that terminal illness, you don't want, maybe it's in denial, but you don't want to give up. You talk about how maybe there can be a cure. Let's be hopeful. Let's be happy. Let's look on the bright side. Let's look what we do have. And so there was definitely in this book that it was taking me to my moments, just even those little, shuffling his feet. And when he started stuttering, I mean, that obviously took me to my real life scenarios. And one thing that I really do appreciate in reading this book was it shifted my perspective. I had 5.5 years of constant caregiver. So when you write this book in more of a kid's perspective, I felt a little guilty. There was a part where Golden, I think, was talking to his mom, and she was in the middle of helping take like his dad upstairs or something to put him to bed. And for me, I did that all the time. My kids were needing me, but it was, I got to help him with this and I have to walk away to keep helping him. But the book follows the kid. So it's just really interesting to me to even ask my daughter, like when it brought up any moments, do you remember this? Do you remember this? Well, tell me, what did you do when I walked away and had to go help dad? And it just, it gave me a broader perspective on what my home life was actually like for my kids' perspective of it.
And Mindy, there's going to be people watching that have heard of ALS, but they're not quite sure what it is. Is it muscular dystrophy, MS? What is ALS in layman's terms?
So Lou Gehrig's disease, your brain is sending the message to your muscles and they're not getting it. I mean, the nerves are deteriorating. They're dying. So your brain is 100%, you're working in your mind, but your body doesn't work. So it takes all the voluntary, it takes just the ability to walk and talk, and eventually you're wheelchair bound, you don't have a voice, you can't eat anymore. There's obviously a lot of people who can do things to extend their life. They can get the feeding tube, they can use a trilogy machine, what helps pump their diaphragm. Otherwise, your diaphragm's the muscle. And though the Mayo Clinic did a really good job at explaining, because we think you just breathe. Like, we don't have to think. We don't tell ourselves how to breathe. But she said, I still remember when the nurse said, hold your breath. You can hold your breath. So yes, your diaphragm pumps it. So once that's just like any other muscle, it gives out, then that's how they pass away. So it's not fun. It's nothing.
And Wyatt was how old when he was diagnosed, like with the official diagnosis?
Well, so yeah, he officially, symptoms started about 29. I think he passed away 35, so 33.
So young.
So, I mean, they kind of have their normal, like it's from 40 to 70 is your normal range of diagnosis. But yeah, he was 35 when he passed away.
And isn't the life expectancy like 2 to 4 years?
Yeah, 2 to 5 years. They only have, they have one medicine that's been around for a really, really long time. And then recently there's been a second one. It prolongs your life by like 2 months. So by the time we got, he'd already been 3 years into it. And the neurologist at the Mayo Clinic said, you have been living with this for 3 years, not even realizing it. You're still alive. Like, you are lucky. So he could have passed away and we would have had no idea why. So getting his correct diagnosis, as soon as we got home, he got his feeding tube put in. It didn't take very long before he had his trilogy machine, which is just, it's not oxygen. It just takes you the room temperature and it helps pump your diaphragm so you can get just oxygen. So that gave him 2.5 more years.
Wow. I remember visiting you, and this was portrayed in the book for Golden's father, the suction.
Yes.
I remember you having to suck out the saliva. And Amy, you portrayed it. Interestingly, you portray the ALS journey from the beginning, where his dad, does he even have a slight stutter in his speech or a slur at the very beginning of the book?
It's more progressive, much more so at the end. And then you, at one point, there's the suction, and a beautiful scene also in the book is the father wants to come to this, I think it's the final soccer game, and they bundle him up and basically wheel him out, right? Because he wants to see his son play. And something I didn't ever really think about, and maybe we take for granted, but he was always bundled up, even on a warm day. And he said, if you can't move, that's how you stay warm, because your muscles could make warmth, and there's the friction, so you stay warm. But if you just sit and there is nothing that you can move, you get cold very easily.
Yeah, and plus, 100% true. Obviously, as you can't move your muscles, they atrophy, and a lot of times whenever I see my friends and their spouses or whatever they're taking care of with ALS, I mean, they just get to the point where all their bones are sticking out. I mean, the skin and the muscles are just gone. And he was that way, even laying in bed, he always needed blankets. We had so many different kind of blankets just for body temperature. You're not moving, so he was, even in the summertime, if we would try to get him outside, he was still wrapped up.
So Mindy, tell me your overall thoughts reading the book. Obviously, everybody watching is not in the same boat. I did have a woman from Midlothian, Virginia, where I used to live, whose husband died of ALS. And we sent her a book, and I hope she's tuning in tonight. So a few people have reached out and said, I really want this book because of what I've been through. But as someone who experienced this overall, not just the ALS part, what were your thoughts of the book?
Number one, it's always so good to know you're not the only one. I mean, you reach out, you find people who are in similar situations, and for you to be across the country and to read it and to just nail all these specific details. You don't know my life, but I could open this up and just be like, well, yeah, this is spot on. Obviously with all of the ALS details that you put in there, like I said before, I feel like that was my life. And the reality is, I love the perspective. I love the family's perspective. I feel like Golden, I see, even though he's this little kid, I saw myself in the book of, I'm not going to let you give up. And even though you understand, maybe he didn't understand fully, even though you know that this is terminal, he just kept being like, Dad, lift these weights. Like, don't give up. You just have so much drive and you have so much hope, and you just want to keep going. No matter how far you see somebody digress, you just have that, you got to keep going. And that is what I love, that I think everybody could take away from, no matter what trial you're going through or what hard things you're going through. I just love the whole concept of 10,000 tries. What was it that his dad told him? It takes 10,000 hours to perfect something. And so he just, it was just, that's all he was focused on. And I love it. I loved it.
There's several people asking right now, where can I purchase this book? Amy, give them a response.
So I love to promote the local bookstores, and your local bookstore should have it, or they can easily get it. Amazon, of course, has it. I know it's at Barnes and Noble, but anywhere online, you can definitely find it. Local bookstore or Amazon, or a lot of bookstores are carrying it right now because it just came out.
Just came out 2 or 3 weeks ago. So I know a lot of you have, wherever you're watching from, you can find the book. If check your local bookstore, if they don't have it, check online. All right, I want to bring in Paige. Paige, you read the book, and you're the target audience. So this is like real life market research right here. What did you think when you read it? First of all, are you a reader? Do you like to read?
Yes, I love reading.
Okay, so how did this book compare to the others?
I feel it more. I understand it more. I understand what he's going through. And I kind of just understand the thoughts and the hope that he's going through. He wants to do something with him, with his dad, but he can't. And he's still wanting to.
So was it kind of hard to read it for you at all? Like, did you have flashbacks about what your dad went through, or was it more therapeutic in a way?
Tell me about that.
Yeah, so when they were building the ramp, I just thought of that because we had to build a ramp in our garage because that's how we got him out. We had to build a ramp, and I thought of the suction tube and him
So
in the wheelchair.
Paige, obviously the older that she got, she was a really big helper because I have the littler one. She's my oldest. So she got really good. She came in and told me when she was reading the book, she's like, oh, he's choking on his food. Like, he's going to get the feeding tube. Remember when dad would always choke on the food? Like, yeah, and reminding her, because she used to always, I taught her how to feed him with the gravity bags and the food, how to connect the tube, how to flush the tube. So those were a couple of things that she came to me that she remembered.
Tell me, Paige, if your dad didn't have ALS, would you still have liked the book?
I would still love it. Either way, I would still love it.
Yeah. What was your favorite part?
When he was getting it, when the doctor was gone and they had to get his cast off, and so his sister handed him scissors to cut it off.
Yeah, that's something you would do. Yeah.
I love that part. Like, he just has to play in that game.
Yeah. What did you learn reading the book, Paige? I mean, when you were finished with it, was there any lesson or anything you thought about life that maybe you hadn't thought of before you started it?
I don't know, never give up. There's always hope in the tiniest corners or the dark times. There's always little hope.
Yeah. It's a very hopeful book. It's an inspiring book. In fact, Peggy just mentioned, she said, I want to thank you for writing about such a serious subject and with such humor and wit. I laughed out loud. So yeah, there are definitely the funny parts. I don't want to give the impression that's depressing. I don't think it's depressing at all.
No. And I think, and I was a little, when you messaged me about reading this book, I was hesitant. I had a lot of mixed feelings. Like, how can you write a book? And the more that I got into it, even today, reading parts of it, I was just like laughing out loud. And she'd come in, she's like, what part are you at? So it's definitely got a good mixture. And for those people who haven't lived with an ALS situation, I think it obviously will just educate you. And it's something that you're probably going to sit there and say, oh, I couldn't even imagine. The ones who have lived with it, it's just like, hey, this is life. This is how we had to deal with it as a family. I really did like the part when he started realizing like he needed to have more responsibility. He had to take a little bit more responsibility seriously, helping with his siblings, doing their hair, doing the laundry, because the dad, I highlighted it in one part. I loved that the dad just said, like you talked about before, Amy, what makes you a man? And he said, how you treat people. And I started bawling just because obviously it hit home to me, but he told his son, like, go give your mom the biggest hug because I can't. So it was good. It's full of laughter and it's heartfelt. And I think it is great for anybody in any situation to read it.
Yeah. Now, if that's beautiful, Mindy, thank you for mentioning that. If you're just tuning in, some of you are asking what we're doing. So we are having a live book discussion about 10,000 Tries. Amy Makechnie wrote this book. It came out July 21st. Amy?
July 13th.
July 13th. I'm sorry. It's available everywhere, published by Simon & Schuster. And it's a beautiful book. Full disclosure, she is my cousin. I'm not making any money from this. This is just me sharing a great book for all of you to read. I'd interview her anyway if she wasn't my cousin. And it talks about a boy named Golden, a young preteen boy who loves soccer. His father is diagnosed with ALS. He's dealing with his father who's dealing with this disease, as well as one of his best friends next door who's moving, whose mother remarries or has a boyfriend.
Yeah, there's a boyfriend.
A boyfriend.
Yes.
And my daughter, Emmy, who is 8, read this, and she loved that the boyfriend was referred to as the Dark Lord. That's what she took out of all of it. So he's dealing with that. He's trying to be this super soccer star. And Amy, the question I have is, sometimes you read books where there's a tragedy or a sad theme throughout, maybe the ALS storyline, and it becomes obsessive and focused on that. And you do a great job of weaving that throughout, but not focusing on it. There's other things happening that make you laugh. That, you know, how did you weave that balance so that you were still telling the story of the dad, but also giving a lot of lighthearted moments?
That was the hardest part, because I knew right away I did not want to write a depressing book. So how do you do that with such a serious, sad thing? So that's where the soccer came in. Like, you could parallel, you know, this story, but also kids are amazing. And middle schoolers, I love that age group. And I think with the middle school age group, you really do, it's different than even writing fiction for adults, where you can go deeper and darker in a way. But you really, for middle grade, you want to end on a note of hope. And I mean, that's the kind of book I love to read. And I love, my favorite thing to read is stories about families and the drama of family and how a family overcomes and gets through. So I think that was my biggest balancing act, is not make this a depressing story, but I like what you said, Mindy, like there's always hope. And Paige, there's always hope in the darkest, hardest corners. And you can find it. You know, it's really interesting to me when I would talk to Heidi and Eric, my friends. Eric's the one that passed away. And I said, are there any silver linings to this? And they both immediately said yes. And it was really interesting to me how much they realized how much they loved each other and how much they loved their family. And their family became very, very close because of that total reliance on one another, especially for Eric. He could just not do anything for himself anymore. And it's just this, it goes across, you know, every age group and for all time. When you serve someone, you really do learn to love them on another level.
Mindy, were there silver linings with you and Wyatt?
Well, it's interesting you asked that now. I remember when you came the very first time I met you with Secret Santa, why I just barely gotten diagnosed. And I believe you asked a question like, how do you do this? How day in, day out? And I remember I told you, like, you do anything for the one that you love. And in all these years, everything that I've taken out, my silver lining is it's not okay that he's gone. It's not fair that he's gone. It's not fair that my kids don't have a dad. But I'm going to take these experiences and just only make myself better. I will take every dark time that I had and realize how you just build yourself up from that, because I'm not the only one. There's so many other people in this world who are suffering or going through something hard. And if I can take my experience and help feed a little hope, help let other people see, like, your seasons of life will keep changing and your purpose changes, and it makes you a better person. It makes you more loving, more compassionate, more caring, more empathetic. You can have deeper relationships with other people because you share experiences. And I mean, it changes who you are. And I feel like I can be a better person because of all this.
When we came over that December, I think it was 2017, 18.
17.
We obviously didn't know. For those unfamiliar, every year East Idaho News, as Secret Santa, has asked us to find deserving people in our communities, and we go and surprise them with large checks or vehicles or whatever that specific need is. And we had heard about the Rees family, and I wasn't sure what to expect when we came in to see Wyatt, but he was confined to his bed, and he immediately started to cry. And he had a screen in front of him that he was using his eye to talk with us. And I remember he wanted to get out, thank you when we came. And I remember, because so many people emailed me after from all over the world, when you said you do anything for the one you love, that to a lot of people that they couldn't believe how profound yet simple that was. So anyway, that's something I remember. I do want to read here what Marianne says. I think I met Marianne. Tell me, Marianne, did I meet you at CrimeCon in Austin, Texas? I think I did. But I think she's from Louisiana. She said, my favorite part was when the mother said not to get their hopes up too much. And Golden says, why not? Isn't that what hope is for? Which was a great part. How'd you come up with that part, Amy?
I think we say that a lot. Don't get your hopes up. Don't get your hopes up. But that's how I keep going. How else do you keep going?
Yeah.
So yeah, you don't want to set yourself up or your kids up for major disappointment, but you always want to have some hope.
Yeah. Tell me how long it took you to write this, and how did the final version that we all read differ from the very first version that you printed off on your computer?
It took me years. It takes every book years, but this one, it focused more on there was more soccer, and my editor and I went back and forth, and she just kept pulling more out of me. And she was hesitant to take this book because she said, interestingly enough, even though we are sport obsessed in America, sports books don't sell very well, and particularly soccer books don't. And let's add this tragic disease to it. It's not going to sell. So, but I was just so intent on getting this story out and doing it right. And so I just kept revising until she warmed up to it. And we went back and forth, and she's a great editor, and she has a great way of asking questions and getting more out of me. I remember I delivered the final manuscript, and I said, here you go, my heart and soul. And she finally, she liked that draft, and we could start really moving forward with publication.
That's great. I think a lot of people think you write a book and it goes off to the printer and there it is, but there's a lot more to it than that.
Effort.
I want to read you what Nita wrote, and thank you for writing this story. My perspective is as an occupational therapist who has worked with several folks with ALS. I think she did a great job of describing the decline, i.e. at the beginning when the voice banking was changing. And it brings the mention of how caregivers can be young kids, i.e. the part when Golden is helping shave his dad and accidentally nicks him. I remember that part, yeah. Was also sad about the part when Golden hid the book his mom had ordered about helping talk with a child about the death of a parent. My heart hurt at the beginning when Golden wants his dad to do exercise, as heavy exercise, not good for those with ALS, but like how his journey goes in finding joy in the moments that occur. Full disclosure, I've only read the first third. Life has been busy, but I will finish. Also touched by how he aspires to be like his dad. I won a copy, got another copy on Kindle, and will be giving the one I won to a local elementary teacher for her library. Everyone needs to read this story.
Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah, thank you, Nita. I do want to touch on the part, yes, about the shaving. because that was so again, it's such a visual scene where he has to take over and help his dad shave. And the exercise scene too, the exercise chapter where, here's this 11-year-old boy who's able to lift more weights than his dad, who was always physically fit and always active. And I'm sure, Mindy, there were experiences with your children. Oh, maybe not, maybe they were younger, but did you have things like that happen with your family?
Nate, I was the one having to learn how to shave, and it's terrifying.
Do a tie. You told me you had to
Like,
learn how to tie a tie.
Oh my gosh. But when I was reading that about the shaving, and I was like, that's me. I remember why it was like, just push. Like, you have to, because I was so careful. And like to do right above the lip, you're so nervous to nick him and stuff like that. And he's like, you have to push hard enough that it's going to shave. Maybe like you have to do this. So I mean, seriously, like, and he loved to be clean shaven because just as soon as it starts growing out, you're itchy. And he couldn't itch it. And so we always had to keep on top of it. And even, same thing with like shaving his head and clipping nails, like even just like bathing and getting all, just little things you don't think of, like in between your fingers. I mean, and when you're not moving, when your body's not moving and it's sitting and just kind of like sweating and stuff like that, there's all these little tiny details. But yes, that shaving part, I was like, that was me. I was terrified to learn how to shave his face.
Oh, I can't imagine.
But I did, my kids, but you know what? They each had, even as little as they were, they knew how to suction out his mouth. So one thing that was really hard with Wyatt. So because as soon as he got his computer and he could type with his eyes, he didn't have to talk. So he wasn't using his mouth and jaw as much anymore. You get the feeding tube, you're not trying to choke things down. You get the computer, so you lose all the function. So, but you still would yawn. So he would yawn, and it was the scariest thing and the hardest thing in the world because his body would just naturally yawn, but then he had no muscles to open and close his mouth, and his mouth would just clench down on his tongue. Half the time his tongue was sticking out. He'd bite on his tongue, would have to like pry it open to get his tongue out. He was always biting his tongue. But even in those situations, I had a baby. Somebody was either having to take care of Wyatt or take care of the baby. And I remember Paige, she was learning how to pry his mouth open and get his tongue back in and just adjusting the blankets, feeding him, suctioning out his mouth. Like my kids all knew what they could do to help out. And it was a whole family effort.
And life, I'm sure, is just so much different now.
Oh, completely. So different. But it's also made my kids, I've heard some people tell me that my kids are a little bit more independent for their age, just because they've always had to be that way.
I imagine. So Amy, we don't want to give away the ending, but it's a very hopeful ending. Do you foresee a sequel?
Probably not.
No.
I guess I'll never say never. But I kind of like where we left it with Golden. People ask me that about Guinevere as well, but I don't know. I just see Golden running down the field, wind in his hair, Benny by his side, with his dad with him.
How about a movie? Because this has movie written all over it.
I mean, let's go.
Yeah.
I'm for that one. I'll back you up on that
Paige.
one.
Yeah, Paige wants it. Yeah, I mean, this really could be a phenomenal movie. But I think if they did a movie, you'd have to do a sequel maybe in 10 or 20 years when Golden grows up.
Let's do it. Paige and Mindy, you can be on set.
There you go.
Got it.
Amy, I don't know if this is a fair question, but do you have a favorite part of the book? I mean, or is the whole thing? I mean, what's your favorite part?
Good question. I mean, Golden, he's almost like my kid. Like whenever I write a book, it's just they really become a part of me. So I don't know if I'd say the epilogue's my favorite, but I just kind of love how Golden, he's talking about his dream team and that time on the field with his 7th and 8th grade team who got him through this tough time, and how he would pick, if he could pick any players in the world, these would be the players. But really his dream team was that one year in 8th grade when they went to the soccer championships under the lights. And then, I can see it in my head too, like it's on the big screen, him running down the field, and the wind is his dad, and he sees dad everywhere. And I mentioned this before, but I love the concept of love and how people leave us, but love doesn't. And it's always with him.
Yeah. We've got another comment here. There are actually special razors that are intended for those who are shaving someone else. Maybe shaving is hard. I used to be a caregiver and once shaved off a young man's goatee and trying to make it even. I'm sure you did your best. Your husband sounds exactly like the kind man in Golden's dad. So cool your kids learned to suction. Do you think any of your kids will go into nursing? Paige, you are amazing. Always remember that. You do more than some people many decades older than you do for their loved ones. So do you think that, Paige, do you plan to go into nursing, or any of your siblings?
Probably not.
No.
She's not.
That's okay.
I am, but she's not.
Yeah, she is. She is more.
That's right.
experienced.
Mindy is in
She's
school
over
right
that.
now to be a nurse.
Oh, wow. Good for you, Mindy.
Yeah.
Okay, so there won't be a sequel. Can you say, how much can you say about potential future books?
I just sold my third, and it's different. It's younger. It's lighter. I'll tell you, it's about 6 naughty children and their very proper nanny who happens to be a dog. So I'm really excited about that.
Awesome. And when will that one be out? Any projected date?
Summer 2023. I wish it was next summer, but publishing is slow.
Yeah. So 2 years from now, everybody watching, we'll join back here again and talk about this.
And the paperback will be out next summer, and maybe Mindy and I will have sold the movie rights.
Yes. Amy, didn't you mention it's also on Audible?
Yes. Yes, it's been a little delayed, but it will be in Audible in September. And the narrator is Michael Crouch, and he's done a lot of really great books, some Percy Jackson books, and A Character in Wonder, and he's fantastic. So looking forward to the Audible version.
How does it feel to have somebody read your work for all the world to hear?
Oh, I'm so excited. I haven't heard any of it. We had a lot of back and forth about how to pronounce some of the names. But I'm so excited to hear it. It feels very surreal.
That's great. If you're tuning in, we have a couple minutes left. So if you have any final questions, please type them below and we'll pass them on to Mindy and Amy. Also, we're going to give away a copy of the book. I know some of you are saying, where can I buy it? I don't have it. Well, you left a comment. So at random, when we're done here, actually probably tomorrow morning, because we want to give people that aren't watching live right now a chance to get caught up overnight. So tomorrow's Wednesday morning, we're going to give away a copy of Amy's 10,000 Tries. Also the original book, The Unforgettable Guinevere St. Clair. We will send it straight to your house. We also have a gift card for Barnes & Noble, Applebee's, and Cold Stone. So all you have to do is comment and like this post. You don't even have to watch the whole thing. We're just going to let you give you a prize. Becky says, this is a great story. Thank you, Becky. And thank you all for watching. I want to give you guys the last word. Mindy, any final thoughts that you have? And then we'll let Amy say a few things.
Well, I think we've been saying it the whole time. Read it. It's a great book. Amy, thanks for letting me be a part of this. Like, I know we've with all these different connections and finding out who we all are to each other, but it's been awesome. It's been awesome. I love that my kids could read it. I love hearing the perspective from my kids. Like, it's great. Read it.
Paige, what about you? Anything you want to add?
It's amazing. Read it. I swear you'll love it.
Were you trying
You'll
to
love
find
it.
Were you trying to find a spot of the book you wanted to read?
What was that? She had a lot of good parts. I mean, that's what I said. This wasn't even an eye opener for me, just to change my perspective. Like I said, I related so much in this book, but I was that mom who wasn't going to the games. I was the mom that wasn't making dinner. I was the mom that was walking away to go take care of my husband. And so to be able to read this and just kind of change my mind and think about what my kids were doing while I was doing that and how this has affected them and what it's going to turn them into in their adult life, how it will affect them. It was a really good time to just sit down and reflect on that.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you for joining in. Amy, you have the final word. What do you want to say?
Oh boy. Well, thank you. Thank you for having me, Nate and Mindy and Paige. It is something we always say, I can only imagine. And I just have, a tiny glimpse into what you have gone through as a family. And you're an amazing mother, Mindy. And you had to juggle so much and you did it well. That beautiful girl by you is just a testament to that. So thank you for your kind words. I'm glad you liked it. I would feel terribly if you didn't. So I really appreciate what you said, and thanks for contributing here, giving me a different perspective as well, that you lived it. And I wrote maybe some of it down, but you did the heavy lifting, the hard part of it. And I really appreciate you guys taking the time.
Yeah.
Amy, how can people get in touch with you? Maybe not tonight or tomorrow, but if in a year someone stumbles upon this, I mean, do you have a website? What's the best way for people to reach out to you?
Yeah, I'm on social media everywhere. My website is amymakechnie.com. I put out a monthly newsletter. There's also a contact form. You can email me anytime. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. So yeah, find me. I would love to interact.
Okay. And thank you to everybody who has been with us tonight. We had a pretty good
Amy,
crowd.
hold on, Nate.
Yeah.
Paige wants to say something real quick to Amy.
Please.
I've always wanted to be a writer. I've always wanted to write books.
We've kind of learned with her that reading has kind of been her coping, and lately she just has all these thoughts and ideas, and she'll take my computer and she was writing a book and she'll share it with her teacher through Google Docs, and she loves to write. So this is awesome for her to be able to meet you.
That's really, really cool. And the best thing you can do is read a lot and write a lot. And you're gonna have your stories. I love that.
Didn't somebody say there's no such thing as good writing, but good rewriting?
Oh yeah.
Somebody say that?
Absolutely.
So Paige, here in 10, 15 years, I want to be interviewing you about your first published book.
That's right.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Picked up the book, 10,000 Tries, wherever you buy books. You can pick them up at your local bookstore, Amazon, Walmart probably has it if you go to Walmart. Great read for the whole family. Great fast read. I mean, it's not difficult at all. And very moving story that'll get you thinking about life and bring you a message of hope. So thanks for tuning in. We'll announce the winners tomorrow on this thread, and I'll reach out to you through your private messages, and we'll be sure to get those prizes to you. Amy, Mindy, Pearl, Paige, thanks. Have a good night.
Thank you.
See ya.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.